All right, so Tevita, it is an honor to have you join us for Chappy Chats. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very good, Ray. Um, Thank you for the opportunity, brother. It's a real honor. Yeah, and I love your work and things that you're involved in, and it's really encouraging, and I'm pleased to be here, man. Yeah, really
Yeah.
pleased.
Hey, I want to talk a little bit about your pathway into chaplaincy. It's a very unusual, but a very fulfilling sort of journey. Share, can you share with us about how you first got into chaplaincy?
Yeah, I think it all started when I first gave my life to the Lord in 2008, and I was working at that time as an assistant strength and conditioning coach at the Reds Academy in that time, and found the Lord, and that position got cut, and somehow through some of my connection at the Reds and the chaplaincy that was there currently is the Red Frog, the head frog Andy Goulet, who's been the chaplain of the Reds for many years and still is the current chaplain for the Reds. He encouraged me to maybe to come in and just share to the players, share my story. And maybe just encourage the younger players in the team. And that's how it really started. We started off with a little prayer group in the academy, and then from there it just kind of grew, And I think I'm not a trained chaplain as such, but even the role that I do now, it was just a kind of a doorway that God opened up for me through the work that I've done in the past, that I've been able to be in the role that I am now, working with the Ikaletai team for the last 3 years. But yeah, it really just started because of my background in rugby, my passion for people, passion for working with young men and encouraging young men. When I found the Lord, uh, all I really wanted to do was to share that, share that amazing experience that I had of finding Him. You know what I mean? Of being free of depression, suicidal thoughts that I had for over 30 something years. So when I got freed from that, my pastor encouraged me to maybe take up the offer and go back and kind of just share to the Reds, and from there it just kind of snowballed. I got to share to the actual Super Rugby team, the actual head team of the Reds, and became great friends of you and with the head coach, and yeah, and then the road started from there, and went from the Reds, and then just started prayer meetings.
Wow.
Not actually being part of the All Blacks or the Wallabies, but I used to go in pretty much every week, every second week, and run prayer groups for the team, and that's how it kind of started, and having Andy and other guys who are already in the role really kind of encouraged me to continue to do this. So yeah, that's how the road kind of took, man.
Yeah, I'm interested to know, to lean in a bit about you were saying earlier about open doors when God opens the door
Yeah,
and God has closed the door.
yeah,
At one point in your transition in chaplaincy, obviously you've done the academy, then you went into the main Reds team. That was the 2011 squad, I believe, or that
yeah.
year. And then obviously in the Tongan team, the rugby league team, correct? Or is it the rugby union?
The rugby union, the rugby
Yeah,
union.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
so the rugby union team. Um, where did you see God open doors for you, and where did you see Him close doors for you for that to happen?
Yeah, I think it was just. I think a lot of um, my um, my depression, the suicidal thoughts, really came from working in the industry. Actually, the pressures
Wow.
of being in the industry, being away from my family, 16, 17 hour days working as a trainer. It's a bit of a crazy. crazy journey. And I was already doing that for about 15 years before I came to the Reds. And so doing that and being away, I worked for the Mate Tonga MMT team from '96 to 2000. So I was their development officer and also their strength and conditioning coach. So all those things kind of contributed to kind of where I was. And it wasn't until I gave my life to the Lord that through that God just really shut the door to training. Really, you know what I mean?
Wow.
My job at the Reds, it was only a part-time job, but my job at the Reds closed. Doors to going back to Tonga closed, and I think it was just a real time for me to grow as a Christian. Be mentored by my pastor, discipled, and also kind of getting rid of all the bondages and the baggage that I was carrying for so long. I really had to kind of go through that to then for God to allow God to use me to kind of share to the players. Because I think if I was still carrying a lot of that stuff that I was carrying, I wouldn't be as effective as I was with the players. So when he closed that door, nothing was really coming up, and it was actually a real difficult time in my life, actually.
Yeah.
I worked as a labor hand. I worked on the roads, even worked at Westpac for a little while. I did a lot of stuff, trying to get myself back into a state where I can really function again, and during that time, I was really getting discipled and mentored at church. And it wasn't, so there was a journey between 2008 to 2010. And in 2010 really was the year that I broke through. Really, a lot of my suicidal thoughts just disappeared. Actually, I was more happier. I could function more easier rather than just stay in bed for hours. So it was through that time that I really, as I came out, all of a sudden these doors started to open again. So somehow I met the head coach through some of the players, and he just said to me, I think it will be amazing if you continue to message these guys, continue to pray for them. Even though he wasn't a Christian, but he could
Wow.
see that there were things changing in the guys' lives. So yeah, so that's how I kind of the doors close and the doors open. It was really it closed because I needed a time to fix myself, but then when it did open, I was ready. Not to say I was perfect.
Yes.
Still things that I was still dealing with, but the majority of the things that kind of hold me back was God removed those things. So yeah.
Yeah. I love what you mentioned there, that you don't shy away from, I guess, the personal struggle of anxiety and depression and mental health. How has that experience helped you now in guess connecting with people, especially in the roles of a chaplain in these professional teams that you've been in? How has that experience shaped you?
Yeah, great question, man. I think it's taken a while, but it's really humbled me. Actually, humbled me. It's really, um, really made me to love people more. Actually,
Wow.
I
In
think
what
that's
way?
the biggest thing. I think just sympathizing with people. Really, I think so many times people don't understand what these guys are going through. We easily judge professional athletes, maybe actors, guys are in influential roles. It's really easy for us to judge them because they're in the public eye so often. And even in the beginning, you go in with that kind of mindset. Really, do you know what I mean? Because before I stepped into these roles, you would only see these guys on TV, really, and but as I stepped in and began to understand who they were, um, it, my journey has really helped me to really love on these guys. And I think one thing that I've just shared recently to a few players, and even to guys who are interested in coming into the ministries like this, is developing a servant heart. I think when you love on people, love opens up a heart that opens you up to serving others rather than being served. Do you know what I mean? Because I think because when I was depressed, I thought the world was all against me. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
thought that everything was, I was doomed to go into hell. Really,
Yeah.
but I think when I came out, when I experienced that love that Jesus had for me, it was it's hard to really explain, but that encounter I had in 2008, I'll never forget. That love that I felt in my heart. I've never felt that. And I was 38 then. I was 38 years old, and I've never experienced that love ever before. And I think that love has helped me really understand and really love on these guys, have patience, even when they're going through all these struggles that they go through. And it's a really um, there's a lot of pressure on these guys. A lot of pressure, and as humans, as imperfect as we are, we obviously will fall. And I think it's in those times that they need compassion, they need love, and they are the times that God has really brought me in to help these guys out. And yeah.
Yeah. So the Tongan, obviously, someone in admin, the rugby union team, someone in admin says, "Hey, we know Tevita. He's been with the rugby league team, Mate Tonga. He's well known. Let's bring him into camp. Let's bring him be a part of our team." They make a phone call to you. What's their pitch to you? Do they just say, "Hey, come and do what you normally do," or do they have a set goal for you as a chaplain to accomplish or to try and, I guess, activate in amongst the players?
Yeah, great question, man. Didn't happen that way actually.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Well,
yeah,
share with us.
yeah,
I should ask what, how did it happen, and what happened?
yeah. No, it's like many of my roles, man. It's I always make the first step actually, and
Okay.
so working many years with all these other teams, it really kind of left a hole in my heart, really, because I'm really passionate about my country. I love Tonga. I love the people, and that's it's been a passion of mine, of bringing change to Tonga, bringing real change, change that involves God, obviously, and and change of bringing back what the Tongan life should be. The family, the family. Bringing that back into Tongan culture and Tongan community. And so, but I knew a few of the players, the current players, and I knew the captain really well. And when I came back from the World Cup in 2015, I went in 2015 and ran prayer meetings for the All Blacks and the Wallabies. So,
Wow.
a lot of the players that I ministered to were part of the teams, and a few of them reached out if I could come and be with them during the World Cup. So that's what I did.
Wow.
We will meet up in the foyers and some of the rooms and just have prayer meetings every single week. And but coming out of that, coming back home, it really left a hole. Seeing what happened to Tonga, the struggles that they were going through. I felt like it was time for me to go back home, really and but it was a long process. I didn't really know who the coaches are, the management. So I left it for a little while, and I did a long fast. I think
Wow.
one fast that really kind of changed my life. A 40-day fast that it really kind of set my compass.
Yeah.
It was only liquid only, and I've never done it before or even after. But I just
Wow.
felt like in my heart, in my life, I needed something. I really needed to hear from God to really make a change. And so I did that. And straight after my fast, God said to go to Tonga. I flew to Tonga
Wow.
in 2016. And when I was there for 4.5 weeks, I heard the call, and God said that it's a must. He will direct me and show me who I needed to contact. And lo and behold, I didn't know that Kif was the coach, until Kif
Okay.
was the coach. And but I knew his brother really well. And
Okay.
I was ministering to his brother, helping his brother out. And he actually gave Totai my number. And in 2017, I felt like this was the time. And I reached out to him. And it
Wow.
was a very weird conversation. And they've never had and to tell you the truth, Ray,
Yeah.
and I think that's why I love your program. Hopefully,
Yeah.
this encourages someone else to. I'm the only international chaplaincy who works with an international team. Actually, it's
Wow.
there's no one else really. So and I hope this will encourage someone to go and head up their nation's team. But and I didn't know this until I started working for Tonga. And everywhere I went,
Wow.
people kept saying to me, man, you're the only guy that has this kind of role. And but yeah, so I rang to time. We had a great conversation, and I just said to him, my passion and why I felt like this position is really important for the team. Tonga was founded in God. It's one of its pillars, 3 pillars of the Tongan society is our faith, and it's so important. And I really believe that even through the journey that I've come through, and many of the players that I look after and pray for are Polynesians, and how the prayers have helped them be comfortable in your skin with what faith looks like as a professional player, and
Wow.
so that's really, and we had a chat, and no nation has a budget for a
Of
chaplaincy
course.
man, you know what I mean?
Well,
He's
even
just
here in our own country in Australia, like it's all
yeah,
voluntary, A
yeah,
guy that a chaplain who that in the NRL just said it's not there's no budget really, it's just
yeah,
voluntary. So it's
yeah,
a new thing. It's unknown territory that you're going into.
yeah. So, and I just said to him, man, I'm willing to do it for free, man. I you know I don't really mind, but I just feel this is a God-given call, and I know that God has called you as the coach, and I believe that this is the right time to join. So he left it at that. This was the middle of 2017, and then early 2018, we had another chat, and he said that I think it would be a good idea if I joined the team in the end of year tour, and then you'll see how things would go from there. And yeah, it came 2018. I joined the team, and yeah, and then God really moved, man. God really
Wow.
did some amazing things through the team, and then they somehow found budget for me, and in the next year, 2019, I went with them to the World Cup,
Yeah.
and I've been with them ever since. Yeah, yeah,
What an incredible journey. I love what you're sharing
yeah.
right now about following your convictions. Is that something that was learned from someone or your mentors, or is it something that you learned personally along the way? At what point did you say, I need to start
Mm,
following my convictions? Or maybe you saw it and someone said, actually, this is what you need to practice. Which one was it for you? Because I think it's a beautiful
yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
I think I'm inspired and I'm encouraged by listening to that about, hey, there's a part where you have to play, where you have to put it out there, like you're throwing the fleece out. You're going, this is who I am. This is what I feel I've been called to do. Whatever the response,
yeah.
it is what it is. So where did that practice of conviction come from? Was it learnt, or was it something that you were taught as activated your faith?
I think it's great question, man. um, I think it's for me, it was learnt really. I come from a family of hard workers.
Yeah.
We work really, really hard at everything that we do, and but it was always was never there was never an end goal for the work I used to do. Do you know what I mean? I worked so hard, but there was no results, and it wasn't until I uh, I came to Christ and understanding the importance of living out your faith and taking bold steps to proclaim your faith, and how important that is, in regards to sharing and telling people about the love of Christ. You know what I mean? And because I was always very, very shy. I didn't have really many friends at school. Always kept to myself, and because I didn't really do well at school,
Yeah.
school and me never really worked out. It was really, really difficult journey. Even reading and spelling has always been such a hard thing for me. And in many of my roles, obviously, you need to know how to read and to spell. And they were very important parts. So having difficulties in that really kind of kept me in my shell.
Mm.
But when I became a Christian, when God really set me free, this incredible boldness just came over me, man. It was like I cannot explain, man. It's almost like light and day, the difference of who I am in the past and who I am today. In the
Wow.
past, I never spoke in public. I had a stutter for many, many years. Didn't really, go out there. Do you know what I mean? I just really worked hard in the background to
Yeah.
just support my family. That was it, mate. And but somehow when I came, and I think that really contributed by being mentored by my pastor. He's an amazing, amazing man. Man of prayer, man of the word, and he really, really taught me well, man. Um, and it just started from there. I mean, at the start it was. I've never sang in my whole life, bro. I don't know why I'm going off here, but I've never sang. My whole life, I always wanted to sing, but I never sang. But as soon as I became a Christian, I started to sing. And
Come on now.
obviously, to sing, you got to stand in front of people and start singing. And I think that's where it's all started, bro. And from then on, I think that's one thing, one passion of mine is encouraging guys to step out. Don't be,
Step out.
obviously with wisdom. Obviously make sure you have all the information. But the importance of really stepping out in faith and doing what God has called you to. So many guys, um, die without living out their passion. There's so many dudes that I know that were so incredibly talented, but those talents were never used. And so that's a real, real passion of mine. I mean, that's one of my biggest passion. Really, is to
Wow.
help guys, direct them to reach their goals, their dreams. And
Yeah.
I'll do anything to help someone do that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's amazing, Vita, because I can visibly see it, and I know you well, and I can see that it's definitely your heart of passion. I want to change gears and talk about um, how you connect and minister to families in crisis. I know that you said you went through your own crisis and you're always trying to help players go through crisis. But one of the things as chaplains we often could come across is when someone is going through a crisis. And
yeah,
most of the time, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. Obviously, in the most recent times, I guess the coach that you were mentioning about Tota, they had gone through a crisis and as well all over media. But I don't want to talk specifically about the family. But I want to know what's your approach when you're trying to help people in crisis such as that.
yeah. I think for me is the biggest thing is just be around them. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? I think that's the biggest thing because no one was around me when I was going through my struggles. And I think it was just by God's grace and mercy that I'm still alive today,
Yeah.
and after going through some of the stuff that I went through. And so when I became a Christian, my biggest thing was just being around guys, always. And I think that's why I stepped away from work. I think I've mentioned it to you. We live, me and my family, we live by faith.
Yeah.
We don't have any like specific streams of income, but we just because from the beginning, I always wanted to make sure whatever happens to guys that I look after, I'm there for them 24 hours. Do you know what I mean? In the part, I mean, currently it's kind of changed because I'm involved with the Tongan team, but for years, almost 6 or 7 years, that's what I did. And I think the most important thing when people are in crisis is to know someone's there, and not even to
Mm.
talk. You know what I mean? Because sometimes some words that you may say may be detrimental to what you're going through. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I've learned that in the past. About saying I'm praying for you, brother. I'm sending you these scriptures. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think sometimes even those things, can really push you
Wow.
down. But I think the main thing is just you being there. Just you being present. Even a phone call, a FaceTime. If they're not, if you can't meet them face to face. But I think the biggest thing is just being around them, and that's one thing I've really learned, and through the journey, and I think it's because I've finally, probably in the last 3 years, finally become comfortable in my skin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
I've journeyed this journey for 13 years, it's only been the last 3 years that I've have been really, really comfortable with who I am, and
Yeah.
I think that's really helped me in the journey as well. Because when you're comfortable with yourself, then you're able to really help people. Do you know what I mean? Really, really
Yeah.
stand in the gap for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I love what you're saying about always being around them. Not as another angle, but are there times where you sense so I guess what I'm asking is coach me through what it's like to pull back. How do you know when to pull back? Because some people are like, "Oh, I was bombarding them," like you were saying, it could be detrimental.
Yeah.
But is it
Yeah.
is it is it based on a relationship of you knowing that particular person you're ministering to, or is it just your gut feeling? Is it a combination of both? Because I guess the way, and I'm framing this in the context of we are living in a crisis world right now, and
Yeah.
there's crisis all around, whether it be our health, our COVID, our borders locked down, our mental health, whatever it may be. Is it a mixture of everything that you're saying, or is there specific signs or strategies that you're like, okay, I do this, but then I don't do this? Yeah, I'm just interested to know your process.
Yeah. I think great question again, brother. I think for me it's really the relationship.
Right.
Building a relationship with these people. It's so important, and knowing them, knowing who they are, getting around them. That's really the key, and also just like you said, I think as Christians, it's really important for us to really pray as well. For God to give us that discernment to really discern what is happening in the spirit. Those dudes may not know what they're going through, but because we're Christians, it's so important to discern. So I so many times before I go and meet guys, I pray hard, man. At least for a day or a couple of days before I go and see them, just so that God can kind of give me directions to where to go. And but I think the big thing for me is just building the relationship, knowing them really well. And if I don't know them really well, then I just kind of stand back and just say I'm here. Maybe send him a message just to say I'm here for you, brother. Um, you know, every maybe every second day or every third day, if you don't know them, and just really kind of try to discern from the background just to see what God is really saying, and because those messages as well, those
Right.
messages so important. what you say in those messages, you know, and
Yeah.
I've learned through the years. I mean, that's how my ministry started. Actually, it's just through messaging. You know, I used to message guys. There was a group of about 400 guys that I used to message every single week, and I had a specific message that I would send out every Wednesday to guys all over. And so, you know, those messages were really specific from what God would say. And so the messaging, relationship, and having a discernment, I think, are keys in getting around people's lives. Yeah.
Yeah. My last question for our chat today: share with us about vision. What does it mean for you? If you were to find the word vision, but envision in terms of, like, is there an end goal for you for chaplaincy? Like, is it to be a chaplain all the way until, whenever Tevita times is up, or is the vision to say, I have a particular lane that I'm running? Because I can definitely see, and I'm sure some of our listeners and our viewers can see, there's a common thread in terms of sport, and and it's not for everyone, right? We all know everyone has a different lane. It's not for everyone. What's the vision that you see for yourself? Just say, in the next year, if we could see it, because of COVID, but in the next few years to come, like, what's Tevita Koloi's vision?
Yeah, man, great question. I think for me that the vision has always been, it's not really a chaplaincy kind of vision or Tevita vision. I mean, my whole vision is to help people reach their destiny. That's my whole thing. You know,
Wow.
that's how I live my life. You know, that's, like I said, you know, probably in the last 3 years, I've finally become comfortable. I finally accepted my lane. Finally, you know, found contentment. Really, you know, I'm really content who I am, where I'm at, where my family's at. You know, the ministry that God's given me, and from the start, you know, it's just, I want to see people reaching their destiny. That's my biggest thing, and that's how I live my life. Literally, I mean, if I meet someone, that's my goal for them, is to one day to reach their destiny that God has for them, whatever their destiny is, whatever their calling is. I want them to reach that and be that person that God has called them to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really my vision. My vision for my life and the ministry is to help people uh, reach their destinies.
It's an ultimate sense of empowerment that I can hear and feel and sense from you. And I think that's why for me anyway, that's why you've made a lasting impact in my life. And so I just want to thank you for staying in there, like through the
Thank you,
tough
man.
times and the crisis times. That shows a lot of resilience. So thank you for the work. And again, we're super excited to see this role that you're in currently, to grow it for the likes of people like myself, who are
Yeah,
who are you know who are not too far behind. You're
yeah.
pioneering in spaces that we haven't yet cracked yet in terms of ministry. So yeah, you really are on the front line in many sense. But again,
Thank you,
always
man.
appreciate your time, Vida, and I know this won't be the last time we'll have you on at some point. Maybe if we could join a World Cup series, who knows? That'll be quite a surprise.
Mate, for you, anything, brother. Anything, man. But I think I just wanted to finish off with just
Yeah,
as you were saying there. I mean, that's the ultimate high for me, bro.
yeah,
Is to see someone reach their destiny. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, it's the most amazing reward. You know, seeing
yeah.
someone become an All Black, or seeing someone become, you know,
The
release their
Wallaby,
first
yeah.
album or making a
Oh,
movie. You know, I mean,
yeah,
man, just, yeah, nothing beats that, bro. Not even money. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So good. Well, thank you again. And if anyone enjoys this episode, please share it. You know what to do. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're soon to be on all streaming platforms as well. So thank you again, Vito. Appreciate your time.
Much love, Ray. Thank you so much, brother. Love your work, man. Off hard
Thank
to
you.
it.